For millions of years, nature was in a state of balance and ordered. Then man appeared. From the beginning of the first civilizations, the inhabitants have been completely dependent on and subordinate to the laws of nature and natural phenomena, and they utilized the rich resources. By developing a civilization, man started to transform the natural environment, which had both positive and negative consequences. In the last century, the Industrial Revolution significantly accelerated these processes, resulting in the urgency to maintain a balance between the beauty of the natural surroundings and human activity.
Wszyscy wiemy, że człowiek jest...
Man, of course, plays a vital role in the natural world. We differ from other species by having a more profound effect on nature. There are few things in our world that we have been unable to transform, but in spite of everything, nature still survives. We need to coexist with nature, and that is why national parks, nature reserves and biosphere reserves have been created. We try to do the right thing and protect the natural environment in these places.
Odpowiedni stosunek człowieka do przyrody.
The World Network of UNESCO Biosphere Reserves was created to promote and demonstrate the balanced relationship between man and nature.
UNESCO jest agendą.
UNESCO is a UN organization which deals with cultural and scientific issues, specifically being concerned with the vital issue of environmental protection. The idea of the creation of a worldwide network of biosphere reserves was instigated in the 1970s, and in 2018 covered almost 700 areas throughout the world.
Dzisiaj, w 2018 roku, liczy już prawie 700 obiektów na całej kuli ziemskiej. Powstała...
Then people began to think about the creation of a network of worldwide reserves where there were interesting natural features that qualified for preservation on strictly defined criteria. This form of environmental protection is not presently enshrined in Polish law regulation, but the unique importance of biosphere reserves are recognized in international publications, scientific journals and papers.
Ale jeśli mamy rezerwat biosfery, to on znajduje się w wydawnictwach światowych. Istnieje cały system propagowania przez...
The UNESCO agenda lays out a complete list of particular biosphere sites recommended to be protected. Each location and each biosphere reserve is described in detail, listing their size by area, location and contact addresses, offering an invaluable resource to the tourism industry. Visitor numbers are growing as tourists become aware that a specific named area of natural beauty exists. Nature enthusiasts also visit these reserves, both individual bird watchers and ornithological organizations, to study the birds and their habitats. Some of the wildlife institutions are government financed and others are set up by international agencies.
Albo finansowane są przez agendy międzynarodowe.
The first Polish Biosphere Reserve was founded in 1977. To date, 10 similar reserves have been created, the Bory Tucholskie Reserve being the latest to be added to this list.
Rezerwat biosfery Bory Tucholskie został utworzony w 2010 roku.
The Tuchola Forest Biosphere was created in 2010, the 22nd year of the Man in Biosphere UNESCO programme. The reserve is one of the largest of its type in the country, covering an area of 3,200 square kilometres.
Zajmuje powierzchnię 3200 km². Ma typową strukturę dla tego typu obiektów.
The Tuchola Forest National Park consists of 3 distinct zones. The park has a central zone with its 26 nature reserves. 4 buffer zones around these protected areas form 4 landscape parks. Around the nature reserves and outside the landscape parks, appropriate areas have been designated to safeguard biological diversity in the reserves. A third zone, the transit zone, is where the local population live and work.
Jest strefa tranzytowa, w której odbywa się działalność gospodarcza. Ona może być...
The buffer zone also has some development, but here environmental impact is kept to a strict minimum to ensure species protection, to enable plant communities and to protect the local ecology.
Wyższych układów ekologicznych. W skład rezerwatu wchodzą 24
The reserves include 24 communes. These local communities are responsible for implementing environmental protection, as well as for sustainable economic development in their area.
zasady zrównoważonego rozwoju. Każdy rezerwat biosfery...
Each biosphere reserve is required to meet the 3 goals of environmental protection, economic development and logistic support to encourage education in environmental study.
Wsparcie logistyczne w postaci wspierania badań naukowych.
Primarily, information boards or educational points are placed in various locations around the reserve to inform the visitor of points of interest.
Takie cele realizują parki krajobrazowe, Park Narodowy.
Tuchola National Park, the central part of the Biosphere Reserve.
Park Narodowy, każdy, również i park...
Every national park, and Tuchola National Park in particular, enjoys the highest ranking of environmental protection, where nature has priority over all development. Of course, every national park, including Tuchola, is open to visitors, for nature is intended to be shared and enjoyed. Visitors should be encouraged to engage and commune with nature, but at the same time, the environmental impact of tourism must be kept as low as is possible without spoiling the experience. Therefore, some parts of the reserve need to have restricted access so that the visitor footfall is not a threat to the local ecology.
Jednocześnie obecność ludzi nie jest jakimś zagrożeniem dla przyrody. Park Narodowy Bory Tucholskie jest...
Tuchola National Park is an example of very low nutrient-rich forest or oligotrophic landscapes. These are low population density pine forests. These are lakes with low rates of metabolism, but in fact, their poor growth is their greatest advantage, because these poor ecosystems are very sensitive to human activity and simply disappearing from our landscape. There are few of them in Poland, so they are rare and need to be protected, and Tuchola is such an example. The local lobelia lakes being the star of the park. This relatively small national park has 7 lobelia lakes within its area, but if we were able to enlarge the park boundaries, this number could rise to 10 lakes. Probably there is no other area in Europe where lobelia lakes are so well preserved as in the Tuchola. The various forest districts that form the reserve zone play a vital role in the Tuchola Forest Biosphere Reserve. In addition to administering the park, One of the tasks of a park authorities is to promote visitor numbers, but not to impact the environment.
Leśnictwo Lipów jest bardzo atrakcyjne zarówno przyrodniczo,
The Lipus Forest District is very attractive both in terms of its natural beauty and for tourist recreation. In our area there are various forms of natural protection that cover almost the whole area of the forest district. There are 8 protected areas designated as such by Natura 2000, 2 nature reserves, 2 protected landscape areas, 1 landscape park, 8 ecological sites and a biosphere reserve. This area is low in population density and therefore very attractive for visitors who love nature and the peace and quiet. Unfortunately, at the moment, as a result of a severe storm last year, many areas are still inaccessible to the public, but we're doing everything we can to clear the fallen trees and restore the woodland so that people can once again enjoy their recreation and leisure activities as soon as possible.
Nadleśnictwo Przemyszowo jest najdalej wysuniętą jednostką.
The Przemyszowo Forest District is the most important of the areas and most further north of the areas that are administered by the Environmental Agency in Torun. We are responsible for forest management of an area of 18,700 hectares. And of course, we have to carry out many functions related to the protection of the environment here. The entire area is covered by both the Natura 2000 Protection of Birds Directive and the Habitats Directive. The most valuable areas are designated by 7 reserves, one of them being outside of our jurisdiction. However, try telling that to our forest rangers. Kruszynek and Kuława River Valley reserves were the latest to be set up here. These are the pearls in the crown, which we like to look after as well as the other areas. How do we do it? Well, this area is very attractive for tourists, and many visitors have been coming here for many years, and they enjoy the recuperative powers of nature. We must try to ensure that we direct tourist traffic to keep these precious remaining areas in the best condition possible and not to degrade them. In recent years, we have built many places where visitors can view the scenery and places where canoeists can access watercourses. This allows for even more intensive protection, and thanks to cooperation with many organisations from our area, year by year we are able to undertake further projects and improve the visitor facilities for the whole area.
Nadleśnictwo Sosznica zajmuje część...
The Ozhosnica Forest District occupies the northeastern part of the Tuchola Forest Biosphere Reserve. Our reserve covers 25,000 hectares, of which 23,000 hectares are forests, mainly pine forests. These forests are covered with outwash sands of the Harczykowska Plain, and in the northern part, the terminal moraine of the Baltic glaciation. The 4 reserves display the natural values of the forest and include 1 bird reserve and 3 forest reserves. 2 of them, the Radosh Mossland and the Kuława River Valley, are located in the Tuchola Forest Biosphere Reserve. These reserves help to protect plant species that are unique, which are not found anywhere else in Poland. The natural beauty of this area is seen not only in the beautiful pine forests, but also in the wonderful water world. The area is located in the basin of the left tributaries of the Brda River and rivers such as the Prądzona, Ozhosnica, Kłoninica and Chocina. In addition to the rivers, we also have many beautiful lakes. Kiedrawiczki Lake, Somiński Lake and Kielski Lake are large water reservoirs with an area of several hundred hectares. There are 121 water reservoirs in the forest district, ranging from small natural ponds to large ribbon lakes reaching several hundred hectares. This whole area, the Ozhosnica Forest District, is the perfect destination for those who are looking for a relaxing day out in beautiful natural surroundings with peace and quiet.
Sośniczo Lubiechowo to 28 000 hektarów.
The Lubiechowo Forest District covers 28,000 hectares of forest, but it is only a fragment of a huge Tuchola forest complex, which has a total of over 300,000 hectares and which is managed by 3 state forest regional offices. One is in Gdansk, which we are part of, the second one is in Toruń, and a third is a state forest regional office in Szczecinek. In this area, located in the forest district which is managed by the Forest Inspectorate in Lubiechowo, there are several smaller and larger mid-forest lakes. There are also some larger lakes which are characteristic of this area. The largest are Lake Kulebie, also known as a Kochevia Sea, Lake Osypul and Lake Czarny, where we are now. The largest of the local rivers, the River Verdar, flows through the area of the Forest Inspectorate. Its picturesque riverbed meanders both through forests and through meadows. Actually, this river hasn't altered its course in centuries. It has not been regulated, so you can still find rush beds and river bends with ducks or other bird habitats. The river is slow flowing and it is very people friendly to those who like to venture into it. The Lubiechowo Forest District is also concerned with wildlife conservation. It's very large in area and covers 28,000 hectares. We manage 4 nature reserves, 2 of which were created in order to protect birds. These are Lake Ujierz and a Chaplewierch Nature Reserve. Regarding birds, the first lake is the most important. This lake is an important point on the migration map of birds due to its location. The second reserve, the Chaplewierch Nature Reserve, was created for the protection of birds and specifically for the protection of the grey heron's nesting areas. Another is a Zdrójno Reserve, established around Lake Brzezieniec to restore the beaver population. The last reserve, the Krzywe Koło Reserve in a Verdar river basin, is a particularly beautiful place with great views and observation points and was created to protect the natural habitats. This is a fragment of hail, a very untypical plant community for the Tuchola forest, where such trees as oak, hornbeam and lime grow. The reserve was created just to protect and preserve this place in its natural state. The Tuchola forest is not only a forest, but people actually live here. It is also a clean environment which a local population has been living in for centuries and which we are endeavouring to preserve.
Na przestrzeni wieków korzystali, korzystają i chcemy, aby mogli korzystać jak najdłużej.
A local action group called Sandra Breder is responsible for the development of tourism of a region in harmony with the natural environment. For many years, the association has been the initiator and coordinator of the many activities of the day-to-day running of the Tuchola Forest Biosphere Reserve.
Bory tucholskie to 410 000 hektarów.
The Tuchola forest has an area of 410,000 hectares, within which there are 35 municipalities, 21 of which are in the Pomeranian Voivodeship and 14 in the Kujawian-Pomeranian Voivodeship. This is the entire geographical area of the Tuchola forest. Ethnically, it is Kochevia, it is Kashubia, South Kashubia, the so-called Gochi. It means that the population is diverse with different traditions. So, in this large forest area, ethnic diversity is very high. 8 years ago, in June 2010, when the UNESCO Tuchola Forest Reserve was created, the area was incomplete. Then we decided that by establishing this reserve, we would think about the whole Tuchola forest being placed in this area. Now that this moment has arrived and we are fully prepared and ready to implement this, we have asked UNESCO to confirm that the Tuchola Forest Biosphere Reserve should cover the whole area of the Tuchola forest. The Tuchola forest is today the largest biosphere reserve, as well as the largest forest complex of anywhere in Poland. The beautiful landscapes and scenery of the Tuchola forest are treasures that drive the tourist development of the region. That is why it is so important to develop the area in harmony with the preservation of this wonderful natural environment.